Good day. Welcome to another lesson on our Super Dealmaker Entrepreneurship Master Program. Today we're looking at the skills program systems and procedures. And the module that we're looking at is how do you monitor and review your systems and procedures. Okay, so I'll start with the background in terms of where we're coming from this skills program, and we'll get into the module today on how you review and improve your quality management system. If you remember from the beginning of the module or beginning of the skills program systems and procedures, we looked at how you develop a system and procedures, why should you develop systems and procedures, and how you're supposed to do that. So the first thing is, what is systems and procedures? Systems and procedures are policies, processes that you will set in an institution or in your business. SME, large business, they have systems and procedures and policies. So the systems and procedures and policies, for that matter, they guide you or they guide the organization on how to do certain things. Meaning that if the person who's supposed to do something is not there, then you can refer to, or you can get hold of them, whatever it is. The reason might be that they are not available at the time. The people who are at workplace or at the job, whatever, in the company at that moment will be able to refer to the systems and procedures and policies to see how they're supposed to do that specific thing that needs to be done. Or if it's a customer query or it's customer complaint, there should be a process that you follow as a business to achieve or to resolve the customer query. If it's product, if you have systems and procedures, let's say you lose all your employees, you need to recruit new employees. If you have systems and procedures, it will be easy for you to restart your operations because the processes will be there. New employees will know what to do. Then it will help you with business continuity. But if you don't have systems and procedures, then it becomes a challenge because if you lose your staff or you lose your key technical competency, then you might not be able to operate at the same level and quality that you were operating before you lose your key employees or your key staff or your key competence. But if you have systems and procedures, you can easily train new people to do things the way your organization is supposed to do them. That's why systems and procedures becomes very important for an organization. One, in this case, is for business continuity, but two, is for customer service, for you to be able to service your customers. So that's now the reason why you need the systems and procedures. As I explained, the systems and procedures are processes that your organization follow. And how you implement systems and procedures, as we're going through the skills program, I've indicated that you have on the one side the basic admin systems and you have quality management systems. So the basic admin system is got to do with managing the office, how you file stuff, how you manage the office, how do you allow people to access their facility or the company, how people access the documentation and all that. That's basic administration systems on basic admin, which is important because remember, you're dealing with confidential information, you're dealing with important information, and sometimes you might have audits from SARS or the client might have a query. So if you don't have a proper office admin system, you might not be able to find what you're looking for or what the client is looking for or the documentation. You might spend time searching for documents. But if you have a proper office admin systems, then that will make it easy for you to find documentation, to be able to file, to be able to function as an institution or as a business. But you might spend a lot of time looking for staff because you don't have a proper filing system. You didn't systemize your filing, your office administration. Equipment might break down. You might run out of paper. You might not have stuff that you need to manage your business because there is no process in place. Employees, they don't know when to order stationery. They don't know who should access what. They don't know how to file documents. They don't know where to put certain things, so that another person who comes will be able to find whatever the other person has stored or has put away or is saved or is filed. Okay, so that's on the business admin side. And then on the operational side, we looked at how to set up the QMS. Obviously, with the quality management system, it includes office admin, but we dealt with office admin separately. So in the QMS, quality management system, that's where you streamline your processes. That's where you define your activities. And you not only define your activities, but how you're going to execute those activities. And the processes that you need to follow for you to execute that particular activity, and the procedures that you need to follow while you execute those activities. So that's when we looked at the quality management system. And after quality management system, we looked at the module, how you implement preventative and corrective measures. Meaning, if there is a system failure, how do you take corrective actions? There must be policies, there must be processes that will guide you on how you do corrective actions. And there also must be processes that you put in place to prevent disaster, to prevent the breakdown in your systems and processes. Because if there's a breakdown in systems and your systems and processes and procedures, that can have a negative impact on the business, on how the business is servicing its customers. Ultimately, remember, we want to make sure that the customer is satisfied. So a business exists to service the customer. And that's how you make money out of it, by servicing customers. Doesn't matter if you are a NGO, you are a mining company, you are a spaza shop, you exist to service customers. And if you don't have systems and procedures or processes, you might not be able to service your customers, providing them with consistent quality service that they expect. In terms of quality, it doesn't have to be high quality or low quality, but there must be consistency. And remember, through our skills program, are continuously emphasized to say, as a business, you don't necessarily have to always provide high-end product, high quality, high-tech products. Sometimes there are businesses that are focused on low-end, poor quality, poor or low high-tech products. I always give you the example of Woolworths and USAVE. Okay. USAVE is servicing the low end, Woolworths is servicing the high end. They both have markets. And if USAVE was to try and service high-end market, that means they need to change their business model. They need to change their supply chain. They need to change their processes. They need to change the look and feel of USAVE to look and feel like Woolworths. But it's got its own customers and it's not confused about it. It's servicing the customers. It knows what their customers are looking for. They want affordable products. Obviously, they need to be safe and whatever, clean. But if you get into USAVE, the floors, the shelving, it looks different from the floors and the shelving of Woolworths. Because Woolworths is able to provide that quality, that ambience, if you can call it that, because it's servicing a different market altogether. They are able to add a little bit more margins on their product. if compared to USAVE it's a cutthroat, that space, your score and they're competing with your spaza shops, your local supermarkets and all that. So the margins are razor thin on USAVE side, but on Pick n Pay side, not Pick n Pay, Woolworths side, it's high end. People are willing to pay a little bit more margin for nice things, for organic stuff, for well packaged stuff, for the environment. They don't want to be with the riffraffs at USAVE, and hence they are willing to pay whatever extra. So even with your business, you need to decide, are you a Woolworths or are you a USAVE? But whichever one you're doing, don't get confused. Service them the way they want to be serviced. Make sure that you provide them call it the bare minimum of what they are looking for. Because with Woolworths, yes, they're looking for cleanliness, organic stuff, fresh, and those things. So you say it must be safe, it must be healthy, it must be safe to consume, it must be good price. So those are the two different customer base that you need to focus on. And as a business, I continuously emphasize that please make sure that you choose your market and you understand the market. Don't get confused, because many entrepreneurs that I meet, they always trying to provide quality product or quality service. Not everyone is looking for quality. Some people are just looking for cheap stuff. Just provide them cheap product, okay, safe and healthy product, health-wise. Then you target that market. You make sure you service the way you want to be serviced. And I also give example that you find that there are some certain businesses, like you find maybe Chisanyama. There are certain Chisanyamas that you find the ambience, the chairs are not high-end, but it's always packed. Because they know who they are servicing. You'll be sitting on crates and stuff like that, and there are no fancy drinks, whatever. There are no glasses, and there's no table. Just sitting there chilling, whatever. But there are people who are going there, and it is their market. And you find that maybe you have your drinking places like your coffee and all those franchise, good-looking, news cafe kind of environment. And there are people who are going there, and they are servicing those people. So those two establishments are not confused on which side of the business that they are servicing. So they know who they are servicing. So even with your business, don't necessarily always have to provide high-end stuff or high quality and no. Choose your market. It might be the low end or it might be the high end, depending on the service that you're providing, and make sure that you service that market the way you're supposed to service it. Okay, so now coming back to the system, with that being said, then you need, as a business, to set up your systems and processes to meet the the targeted customer needs. So if you are high-end, obviously security, cleanliness, the setup and all that will be different from the low-end setup. So when you're setting up the processes, you need to make sure that you set up your business processes to service those two distinct markets. If you are this side, your process must be servicing that side, and if you are on the other side, your processes must be designed to service the other side. Okay, so now with those processes and with your understanding of the market that you are servicing, right, you need to monitor the systems and processes, your systems and processes, and continuously improve on the systems and your systems and processes. Right? Doesn't mean, when I say improve, it doesn't mean you moving from servicing the low end and putting together systems and processes to service the high end. No, you might actually lose your clientele by doing that. I mean, you monitor and assess the systems based on your clientele, right? Based on what your customers are looking for, and you do the improvements that your customers are looking for. So basically, for you to monitor your systems and processes, one of the key things that you need to look at is customer feedback. Your customers will give you feedback, and there are certain things that you might pick up from your customer feedback, and those things they can help you to improve your processes, your system, and how you service your market. Obviously, for instance, customers might be looking for certain products that you are not providing them, and they can give you feedback. It might be formal feedback or it might be informal. So your salespeople, they need to be aware of what customers are looking for, the queries that the customers make. So it means for you to be able to improve your systems and processes, you must have systems and processes to get customer feedback. So once you set up that and your employees understand what they should do, the processes and procedures that they need to follow to solicit customer feedback. It doesn't have to be hectic policies where they are formal and all that. But when you're training your employees, or you're giving orientation, or you're hiring, you must be clear that this is the process that you're going to use to get customer feedback. And this is what we're going to do when we get the customer feedback. This is how we're going to use it to improve the systems and the processes and the business model as in general. So that must be embedded in the culture of the business, so that your employees develop that culture to understand that your business is there to service the customers, and the customer feedback becomes important. And they must make sure that they get the feedback from your customers, so that you can use it to improve the service that you're providing to your customer. So that is one of the mechanisms that you can use to monitor and improve your systems and procedures and processes that you use. Remember, when talking about systems and processes, we're talking about how you do business, how you service your customers. So with the customer feedback, with making sure that your salespeople or your front end or your client-facing employees understand the feedback that they need to get from client. It doesn't have to be formal checkbox and suggestion box and all. That's sometimes you can do it, but sometimes that is just too formal, and the feedback sometimes is not that useful, and it's just an administrative burden to your customer. But if you have employees that understand how to solicit customer feedback, and they can be able to capture it and make sure that next time when you are doing things, you improve on your service or on your business processes, so that the customers can be happy. And okay, I must state that not everything that the customer says is necessarily important for you to change your systems. Sometimes the customers will give you feedback on the things that they think they want, but you might find that actually it's not what they actually want. But it might be the idea that, no, this place is not, we need nice chairs and whatever, because they saw the other places got nice chairs. But you find that they actually they don't really need the nice chairs, because if you start having nice chairs, nice sittings and all those things, then there are certain customers that you might lose. And if you lose those, you might lose the others, because they might be coming to you because some type of customers are coming to your establishment. So with customer feedback as well, you must be careful on which feedback are you going to use to improve your business or to improve your processes. That's on the customer feedback. That's one angle that you can use to get feedback from your customers that will help you improve your systems and processes, so that you can be better, and you can be more efficient in servicing your customers. And okay, we spoke about the customer feedback as a way or a method that you can use to improve your business operations and profitability, and the processes that you use within your organization, right? That's the first one. And the second one, it might be your audits, right? If you remember, when we're dealing about processes, audit becomes very, very important. It might be formal external audit or internal audit. And audit is not necessarily, okay, the audit that we used to is the accounting audit. No, you're not necessarily talking about, but even that will help you improve your internal processes, because the audits in general is to investigate the processes that are followed to see if the system is doing what it's supposed to be doing. That is an audit in general on its objective. It can be the financial audit or operational audit. All right. And with the audit, I know that SMMEs, they don't really conduct audits. They don't request formal audits from experts, because sometimes what is required for you to improve your processes is to ask someone who's experienced in that space to come and look at your operation and see what are you doing wrong, or not necessarily wrong, but what are you not doing, what are you doing that is not optimal, based on their experience. So it doesn't have to be a formal audit like in accounting, where the auditors come, you pay them, they come in to audit your financials, or maybe a health audit where experts come to audit your health compliance, or your HACCP audits where they come to audit your operations. There are those formal audits that you can do. Remember, if you are in farming, you are processing food, and you are supplying things that people consume, generally there are audits. But even in training, there are audits that let's say your sitters will come and do the audit to see if you are doing things the way you're supposed to do them. In the mining, for you to have a license, your DMR or Department of Minerals, whatever the department, because they change names too often, it comes into an audit. You need to know which files you need to keep for the audit. But those are formal audits. So when it comes to formal audits, they'll come, you need to maybe in the mining space, your safety file, your compliance file, you need to make sure that you keep, there are certain records that you need to make sure that you keep, so that when they come into audit, they will be able to check if you are doing things the way you're supposed to do them. It's not only in the mining, I know in training, or where you are accredited to do certain things. As I said, in training space, you'll get your QCTO or your sitters coming to do the audit. If you are in education, you get the inspectors. Remember, in schools, I don't know what happened to that process, but you used to have an inspector that will come as a surprise to verify the systems and processes of a school, to check if they are doing things the way they are supposed to do. The learners are there, the teachers are there, they are teaching the way they are supposed to be teaching, they are following the processes. So we used to call them inspectors in school environment. And in food space, there is health and safety departments that comes to establishments to check if they are in compliance with health and safety regulations. Do certain things, test certain things, test your cleanliness, your processes, how you store things, if things on the shelves or in the storeroom are not expired, and all those things. So those are the audits that are conducted by the institution that gives you that accreditation, or that certificate that you use, or you're going to claim that you comply with health and safety. So they must come to the audit. If you claim to comply with, you are accredited for provide training, that institution that has accredited you, it needs to come to do the audit. If you claim you have a license, okay, using mining license and all that, that institution has to come and audit you to check if you are doing things according to that institution's requirement. If you are providing SAB as approved products, there will be regular audits that SAB has come and audit you on to make sure that you are in compliance. So now that's on one side. Those reports that you receive from those auditors, obviously sometimes they will find non-compliant, or they'll find where there's area for improvement. So you need to use those reports to improve your processes, to improve your operations, because what those institutions will tell you is to say, yes, we see you are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And because when you do 1, 2, 3, 4, this might be the negative impact and all that. So that report that you receive, it's a valuable input into you improving your business and improving your operation. So don't see it as a pain or a compliance issue. See it as an input into your processes to make sure that you improve your processes and you meet your customer needs, because you don't want them to come back to say, we identified this thing, we told you to improve it, but you never improved it, and this is the impact that this thing had on client or whatever. Remember, if you're not following processes and procedures and you don't have policies in place, certain things can happen in your business and you might be in trouble for it. You might get arrested, you might get sued and all those things. So there are certain things that we as small businesses, we tend to ignore, or we tend to do them as a compliant thing rather than seeing them as a way of improving our businesses. So hopefully after this lesson, you will be able to go back and look at all the audits that are supposed to be done. If they're not coming to do the audit, you need to invite them to come and do the audit, because those audits will help you improve the processes. Mustn't be running away from the auditors. Financial, could be operational, license related. The auditors are there to help you improve your processes. And as you improve your processes, you become better. As you improve your processes, your customers will be satisfied. You will improve your customer satisfaction because you will be doing the things the way they're supposed to be done. Okay. So now, these are more formal audits that, depending on which sector you are in, I mean, I mentioned a lot, different sectors. But even if you don't get audited, there are standard operating procedures that you need to follow. Make sure that you get hold of your industry's standard operating procedure. Once you get hold of that, make sure that you implement it in your business. It can help you improve your business really to get to a point where you are self-sustaining business that is got a good reputation out there in the market, because you will be having your standard operating procedures that you're following. And should the audit happen, you know that you will be safe because you'll be following certain processes. You don't get stressed when the accrediting institution comes to visit your operation. You won't be worried when food inspectors are coming, because you would have your standard operating procedures that you are following, and that will help service your business. So it's not necessarily, yes, it is for compliance, but you must use it to improve your business, because the environment is very competitive out there. You must continuously improve so that you can remain competitive with other players in the market. And you might be maybe taking advantage that you are the only provider, or there are no other service providers who are doing the same thing that you're doing. Yes, customers will tolerate you until there is another player that comes into that market and they start doing things the way they're supposed to be done. They'll blow you out of water because they will be following processes. And you would have created a culture and a reputation of an institution that doesn't follow processes. And for you to recover from that, it might take you forever. And it might take you investing a lot of resources in your business and all that, because once you damage your reputation, to recover, it becomes very, very difficult. It's actually difficult to build a reputation in a specific sector. But to recover it, it's even worse. You need to double the effort, double the resources, double the money that you spend on building that reputation. And you might not be able to recover that reputation, and your business might end up failing by simply not having standard processes that you follow, by not conducting regular audits, by not implementing the recommendations that are coming from the external auditors that comes into your business. So doing things in the right way will always improve your business. It will always put you on a better standing to be able to be competitive out there. Because you don't want to fail the audit. Imagine if you have a mining license, or you have accreditation, or you fail health and safety audits. They will close you down. Your business will fail. So you inviting audits, implementing their recommendation, it's a must. It's not a choice. And it's something that you need to embrace so that you can continuously improve your business. Because if you don't embrace that, if you don't appreciate the value that audits bring into your business, then it might negatively impact your business in the long run. And not doing the things the way you're supposed to do, or you're supposed to do, it creates a problem, because you might lose the accreditation that you have. Or let's say for maybe on the SARS side, certain South African Revenue Services can come to the audit to see if you are doing things the way they're supposed to do. You are paying what you're supposed to be paying to SARS. We know there are a lot of businesses out there who are struggling, who SARS came later to conduct the audit. SARS can come 5 years later to come and do the audit, to say, hey, there was something fishy when they look at your records. And if they conduct the audit and they find that there are hojas is in there, you'll be in trouble. And somehow, I don't know, SARS has got this funny thing of, they'll come when your business is down. You had the high years, and then you're not paying what you're supposed to be paying, right? And then you get the lawyer when you're losing customers and your business is struggling. Then you start not paying at all. So now, you not paying at all, it created a red flag with SARS. They say, no man, this institution or this person used to pay so much, but now they're no longer paying. What's happening? They say, no, hey, let's go check it out. When they come for the audit, they will now realize that actually, even that you were paying then is not what you were supposed to be paying. You were avoiding tax. Remember, you were evading tax actually. Avoiding tax is still legal, something that you can do, but tax evasion is illegal process or illegal action. So they will come and audit to say, no, you're evading tax, and this is how much you owe us. They slap you with a big bill. And you find that the business is no longer where it was. And now you don't have the money to pay SARS. And they will liquidate you. You can hear the stories, like, okay, if you read in the newspapers, there will be one SARS issue. If you look at the business sides, your celebrities, there are a lot of people who get in trouble with SARS. There's always, a month doesn't go by where there is no SARS scandal. It's just because people are not implementing the processes and procedures and policies that they're supposed to implement. They know that they're supposed to pay SARS, let's say the VAT by the 25th. They know they're supposed to pay PYE by the 7th. They know that they're supposed to pay 15% of their revenue if you're registered for VAT. But they just don't do that, despite the fact that they know. They just choose not to do it. And it feels good. But eventually, SARS will catch up with you, where they look at how much did you declare, how much have you supposed to have paid. And they realize that, no, there's a difference in what you paid and all that. And they'll want you to show them their money. And you might not have it, and that might lead to your business being liquidated. So now we're still on making sure that you review and improve your processes. And now I was touching on the audits that can happen in your business or supposed to happen. These are more formal audits that you need to embrace as a business to make sure that you continuously review and improve your operation so that it's always compliant. If you are compliant, I believe you sleep better at night, because you know that even if SARS comes, if the TMR comes to do the audit, or the health and safety, or the Department of Health, whoever the person is or the institution is that you're supposed to comply with, even if they come, surprise or not, you know that you have the documentation, you know that you are always in compliance. So that gives you one, peace of mind, but two, it improves your business operations. It makes sure that you are operating efficiently the way you're supposed to be operating, right? So that's on the formal audit side. But remember, as a business, you can also do your own informal one, where you might be knowing people in the same space that you're operating in, right? You might ask them questions. It might be a direct question, or you might invite them to give you inputs. You must always, when visiting similar businesses, observe, look at certain things, and come back and improve your operations. So your competitors, you must always look at what your competitors are doing so that you can come back and improve. But you can also ask for mentorship, maybe audits. Come tell me, man, I'm struggling. I can see you're doing well. Can you come look at my business and tell me what am I doing wrong? Okay, some competitors might not be willing to help you, but some might be. And some people who are not necessarily running their own businesses, but they are working for someone else, because, I mean, sometimes their self-interest is misaligned with their employer. You can ask them to say, man, hey, I'm running this operation here. This is my operation. Can you come through one day, man, and just look at the processes that we're following, the procedures and the policies, and tell us where we can improve. People always are willing to give input. So that now is part of informal, call it an informal audit, where you're inviting someone to help you improve your processes. Yeah, sometimes, I guess as people or as individuals, we always want to believe that we're the best in what we do. But there's always someone out there who's doing things better than you. And if you don't have that willingness to learn and come back and review your processes or how you conduct your business and improve, then you are closing yourself to the opportunities that can come with running a better operation, running a tight ship. So you must also consider informal audits where people can come in and look at your operations and give you input. As I said, obviously not everyone will be willing to come into the audits or willing to come to give you feedback on your operation, but there are some out there. But also keep in mind, you don't necessarily have to ask, you can just observe to see what are they doing better. If you're running a spaza shop, you can always check what USave is doing to service their customers. If you are targeting high end, you can always go to see Woolworths, or you can always see if you are a Chisanyama or an establishment that is selling alcohol. You can always, when you go into News Cafe, doesn't just be going there to be blasted. You must be there, observe how they do certain things. How can you learn from what they are doing? That's a way of observing your competitors. You audit them. You check how they do certain things. Then you come back and implement it. But make sure that is for your targeted market. Because you might see things at a high-end establishment and try to implement it at yours. One, the cost might be prohibitive, and your clientele might not be actually looking for those type of services that you are improving. So you must always keep in mind, as I said from the beginning of this lesson, to say, keep in mind the customers that you're servicing. It's very, very important for you to be aware of your customers. As you're learning things from outside, as you're getting feedback from your competitors, you must know, are these things relevant to the target market that I'm servicing? Will my customers appreciate this kind of improvement? Okay. If you learn something new, you can test it and see how your customers react. From maybe on a section, not just go full Monty. You just maybe check on the section, how are they reacting to it, and then if they are happy with it, then you can implement it across the organization. And that being said, in terms of audit, actually, because one of the case studies that we look at is the founder around Ray Kroc and McDonald's. So they say Ray Kroc, what he used to do is go through the dustbin of the competitors to find information, to find things. Wow, how are they running their operation? Where are they buying? What type of products are these customers buying? Because you find those things in the dustbins of your competitors. That's how serious Ray Kroc was in building McDonald's. That's how serious he was in learning from competitors. So you'll check the dustbins and see the type of products that the competitors are selling. What are the customers ordering? The combination of types of products that are there. Where are our competitors buying? So in terms, then he'll take that information, come back and look at his own operation and see where can he improve. What can he learn from the other institution that he can implement in his McDonald's. Then that's how the franchise and the system, he continuously improved the McDonald's system, the McDonald's way of doing things, because he went and checked what the competitors are doing. He learned from them, checking their dustbins and all that. So for you to conduct the audit, to make sure that you improve your business and you improve your processes, you need to do the best that you can. If you can do a formal audit, or if a formal audit is not viable for you because maybe you're a smaller institution, you can ask someone in the space to come in to audit for you, to check the operation. Or you can monitor your competitors, you can check what your competitors are doing and how are they doing it. and take whatever that is relevant or could be relevant to improving your system, and you come and implement it in your business. Okay, so that's the how you can review and improve your systems and processes and improve your operation through audits. Now, remember the initial one was you can improve it from your customer feedback. We spoke out at length about customer feedback, and now this one is how do you review and improve your operations using, call it the audits. And we split it between the formal audits that are conducted in the industry using your standard operating procedures and all that, and on the other side is you soliciting feedback and or inputs from people in the space on how you're operating and how your business is doing. And the other one is you monitoring, checking your competitors to see how they do things. So now those are the two. Now we're going to look at maybe your periodic review in terms of what can you do, how often should you check your operations to see if there's any area for improvement. Okay, now that we have looked at how you can improve your systems and the processes and your operations by looking at or by soliciting feedback from your customers and by conducting the audits, which might be external or might be voluntary, whatever. Then now we're looking at, call it periodic reviews, or maybe it can be periodic reviews that you do. It can be management reviews, or it can be your performance management system that you put in place. Remember, if you were employed before, there is on an annual basis, you set your operating targets and you'll have your individual performance targets, like where the things that you need to do in that financial year. So even when you're running your own business, you can have a standard maybe where you go on a strategic session, okay, by yourself if you are a one-man show, or even if it's a small team, you can go on a strategic session. Don't necessarily have to go, but you can have a strategic session where you engage with the employees and to see, or an employee might be only the two of you, but make an effort to maybe have what you call a strategic session to see the things that happened from the previous year, the things that you've done right or done correctly or implemented the way you're supposed to implement, and you look at the learnings from last year, the mistakes that were done, the complaints that you received, the non-compliance that you might have gotten from your accredited institution. Now you strategize from now going forward. How are we going to improve our processes? You look at the things that you can do to make your organization better. That's why strategic sessions becomes very, very important. I know as a small businesses, we hardly do strategic planning. The last time we do the business plan is when we're looking for funding. And once we get the funding, we never review that strategic planning or that business plan. Remember, the business plan's you can use it for different things. One, maybe for your external funding when you're looking for money. And two, you can use it for internal operations to improve or to run your business. You must have a strategy on how you run your business. And generally, SMEs, they have strategies in their own head. They know where to get to. But if you formalize this process, it will make it easier for employees to connect with your vision and mission and what you want to achieve. So you need to, okay, it's recommended, you don't have to. I mean, it's your choice. But I would recommend that you have strategic sessions, maybe twice a year, where you go on a strategic session or you conduct a strategic session where you outline what went wrong in the previous period, what went right, which processes were not working, and how can you improve those processes. Those now are your periodic review. So that when you develop your strategy, you must always have the process improvement plan in place to say, this is how we're going to improve our business going forward. This is how we're going to implement the strategy to improve our processes, policies, and all that. But for you to do your strategic planning, strange enough, it needs to be in your systems and procedures. Employees must know that after financial year end, or during, or whatever, just before or the beginning of a new financial year, we're going to go to a strategic planning. We're going to set the performance targets for the next financial year. And during the year, whatever that we're doing, we will be implementing the strategies and the plans that we have developed. And generally, when you're doing the strategic plan, obviously you have the strategic plan in terms of where you see yourself in the next 10 years, the things that you want to do for you to get there. But the key one is the operational plan. Operational plan is now operationalizing the strategy that you have developed. Meaning, you need to put that strategies or the strategic objective into actions that you need to execute when you start the financial year or during the financial year. So when you're operationalizing the strategic objective, one main thing is supposed to be on the systems as well. How are you going to improve your customer service? How are you going to make sure that your financials are in order? How are you going to make sure that your operations is running efficiently? HR, how are you going to make sure that you're still in compliance with that? So those are some of the things that you will have to put in your operational plan or execution plan. It doesn't matter what you call it, but you need to operationalize that. And that must always look at what you want to achieve, the lessons that you have learned previously, and the actions that you're going to take must relate to how you're going to improve how you performed. So the approach that I'm suggesting now is that, like government departments, what they do, they plan for 5 years, they break it down into 3 years, and they break it down into a year. So you have a long-term plan, you have a mid-term plan, and then you have an operational plan. But how they do it is they look at historically. Remember, if you are running a serious institution, you don't start from zero. You need to review your previous year. How did you do? You review, you see where you are, and going forward, you need to develop processes and procedures and objectives that will improve the performance from last year. You build from the previous year. That's how government does it. And that's how big institutions do it. You need to continuously improve on the previous performance. And how do you do that? For you to improve on the previous performance, you need to continuously monitor the things that you have done. How did you do them? Where did you make mistakes? Where did you do well? And from there, you take those things that you did well, you continue implementing them. And you look at the ones that you didn't do so well, and you start implementing those. That's how you develop your operational plan to improve the business going forward. Okay. But remember, the strategic plan, it doesn't end with the strategic plan. Okay. There must be a process to review that strategy, maybe mid-term. Generally, that's how businesses do it. You set the strategy, maybe you have a mid-term review, just to check in, check where you are. How have you performed? Have you done the things that you're supposed to have done? And have you achieved, or are you in process or progress to achieving the things that you are set to achieve? And if you didn't achieve the things that you're meant to achieve, then you look at your corrective actions. what can we do to get back on track? What can we do to recover from the setback that you have experienced? Because if you're waiting for the final year or final review, it might be too late. You might not be able to make changes or implement corrective actions in between. So in the maybe mid-year, you have your periodic reviews where you review what went wrong and what went right and what can you do to moving forward. And then you're going to have your final review at the end of the year. So you do your review at the end of the year to see how did you do versus your strategic planning. Did you achieve the things that you're supposed to have achieved? Process-wise, customer complaints, quality of the product, the marketing processes, financially, did you achieve what the things that we supposed to have achieved? And if you didn't achieve the certain things, then when you go into the next year's strategic planning, you take into account the learnings that you got from the current year and you implement it in the next strategic session. Okay, that's on the strategic side. But remember, I said you have the strategy, then you operationalize it, right? Then from the operational side, you need to allocate it to your key employees. There must always be a link in your processes. The employee performance plan or targets, sometimes they call them. So your employees' targets must be linked to your operational plan. Your operational plan must be linked to your strategic plan. That's always make sure that in terms of you are running a business where you have a performance agreement or you enter into performance contract with your employees, make sure that there's always that link and that link is always reviewed. That's how you're going to make sure that you continuously improve your operations. That's how you'll be able to make sure that you continuously improve your processes. So once you link the employees' performance or activities that they're supposed to do to your strategic plan, then your business will operate in harmony, where the employees know what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, and if there are any challenges, how to resolve them, so that the system can continuously improve. So once you develop that culture of linking your strategic objective to your operational plan and your operational plan to your individual performance, you will have an institution that continuously work in harmony. Obviously, but there must be reward and benefits if the employees achieve or exceed the target and all that. So that now we look at, when you looked at HR, we looked at the performance management, the bonus and all those things. So whatever, even if when you are linking these things, you must always make sure that you have the incentives that are linked to performance and how you're gonna measure performance of the employees. There must always be, the benefits must always be linked to the targets. Okay. So now on this periodic review, remember this is mostly internal, and strategic planning and all operational planning and performance, they are always linked to your processes and procedures. Because processes and procedures, remember at the beginning, I said it's how you do things. And if you don't have a framework and a process or a structure that you're going to use in an organization, then you might have challenges of continuously improving the reviewing and improving your processes. So you need to make sure that these are in line, you are working together with your team, strategic plan linked to operational plan linked to the employee plan or employees' targets. And make sure that when you conduct the review, as we said, you set the targets at the beginning of the year, you review them mid-year, and you do the final review at the end of the financial year. And after you've done the review, then when you're planning for the next year, or the next period, you use the learnings from the previous period and you improve on that. That will give you continuous improvement within your operations. It will give you continuous improvement when it comes to your systems and procedures. Okay, we have looked at the 3 main tools that you can use to review and improve your processes and procedures. We looked at one, the audits that you can conduct to make sure that you identify areas of improvement and you take corrective actions. We looked at customer feedback that you can use to improve the processes. And we looked at the last one, periodic assessments and performance management and strategic planning. So that we looked them into in one. So these are the some of the methods that you can use. Remember, this is not a complete method that you can use. You can research, find out which other methods you can use to review and improve your operations and your processes and procedures. And remember, in all these processes, right, they must be documented, they must be minuted, so that you will know what you did and when you did it. Because remember, without documenting things, without filing things, you wouldn't be able to go back and refer. So even the lesson learned that you have identified in the previous year, if these processes or these activities that you do to review and improve your operational procedures are not documented, then it might be a challenge for other people. Let's say you lose all your stuff, whatever, or you are no longer operationally involved. There might be knowledge that is missing. So with all this, when you're reviewing and monitoring, but in everything that you do, you must keep in mind that you need to make sure that you have a knowledge management approach to things. You manage this knowledge. Because if you don't record it, if you don't have a way of minuting it, to accessing it, then you will do the same thing next year. You start from scratch or from the beginning. So to avoid that, you need to make sure that these things are minuted, documented, and stored and easily accessible for the next guy, so that they can be useful going forward. Remember, as I said, especially with the strategic planning, to say you do a strategic plan, you implement, you see, you do corrective actions, but the following year you need to look at that strategic plan and see where you went wrong and all that. But for you to look at that, obviously you need the minutes of the previous strategic planning, so that you build a business that is continuously improving. It's very, very important to make sure that these reviews, these monitorings are properly recorded, they are properly analyzed, and the lesson learned are clear. They are outlined so that you can continuously learn as an institution. All right, that is our lesson for today. I hope you'll be able to implement some of these strategies in your business going forward. I thank you.